A coin so valuable and so rare that most collectors have never even seen one in person. And yet, it looks almost exactly like every other penny you've ever spent on a cup of coffee. That is the mystery of the 1981 no mint Mark Lincoln penny. This isn't just another coin story. This is the kind of discovery that changes lives, pays off houses, wipes away debt, and becomes the story families tell for generations. And it all starts with a single detail so subtle, you could miss it in a heartbeat. Back in 1981, the United States Mint was still producing pennies using copper. But the mint was preparing for a major change. Just a year later, in 1982, the composition of the penny would switch to copper-coated zinc, a tiny change that would forever shift the world of coin collecting. But in that transition, something strange happened at one of the minting facilities. An employee, a machine, or perhaps pure accident, created a small, almost invisible mistake that a handful of 1981 Lincoln pennies left the mint with no mint mark. Now, normally, the Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark already. So what makes these special? Because these pennies weren't supposed to be part of the standard Philadelphia production. They were created during test runs involving mixed dies mint for specific sets and collector strikes. Coins that should have had identifying marks. But something went wrong. A missing letter. A missing identity. A ghost in the system. And today, the few surviving examples are almost priceless. One graded at the highest levels by experts has already crossed the $1 million mark in private auction. Another is rumored to be sitting inside a private safe, insured for more than most homes are worth. We are talking about life-changing money for a coin that weighs just 3.11 grams. Now let's pause here for a moment. Think about how many 1981 pennies exist. Tens of millions. They are still in circulation. You might have one in a jar right now, one in the glove compartment, one sitting on your dresser from when you emptied your pockets last night. Yet only a microscopic fraction contain the missing mint mark error that makes them worth a fortune. It's like trying to find a diamond buried in sand. But the treasure is real, and it is possible. So here's how you check. No expensive equipment. No fancy tools. First, look at the front of the penny. The side with Abraham Lincoln's profile. Under the date, right beneath the numbers 1981, there is usually a tiny letter. If your penny was struck in Denver, it will have a D. If it was struck in San Francisco, it will have an S, especially if it was part of a proof set. But the Philadelphia Mint, in 1981, did not place a mint mark on circulation pennies. So yes, many 1981 pennies naturally have no mint mark. The weight and the sharpness of the strike. The rare 1981 no mint mark penny worth up to $1.8 million comes from a special run that was struck using higher pressure and cleaner dies. These pennies have unusually bold details. Lincoln's hairlines are sharper. The lettering is crisp. The rims are strong and slightly more pronounced. So you need to weigh the coin. A regular 1981 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams because it's still copper. If your penny weighs significantly less, around 2.5 grams, that means zinc, and that's not the $1 million piece. But if you have the weight right, then look for exceptional detail. A coin so sharp and so flawless it almost looks new. Even if it has been in circulation for decades, collectors call this a proof-like strike, even though it wasn't meant for collectors. And here's where the story gets even more mysterious. No one knows exactly how many were produced. The U.S. Mint has no official documentation of the error. There was no public announcement, no recall, no explanation. It's as if the coins simply slipped out, unnoticed, scattered into the world like hidden keys waiting for someone to turn the lock. Some believe only a few dozen exist. Some believe fewer than 10. Some believe that the truly perfect specimen, the one worth $1.8 million, has not even been discovered yet. Think about that. The most valuable example could still be out there. Maybe it's sitting in a change jar that was handed down after a grandparent passed away. Maybe it's lying at the bottom of a forgotten drawer next to old keys nobody remembers what they open. Maybe it's in your house, this very moment, waiting for you to look closer. Now let's reset for a moment, because I want you to picture something. Imagine you find one. You pick it up. You turn it in your hand. You look under the date. No mint mark. You weigh it. 3.11 grams. The coin looks sharper, almost more defined than any regular penny. And that moment hits you. Your heart jumps. Your palms sweat. You realize you could be holding $1 million between your fingers. One small circle of metal that could rewrite your financial future. Stories like this aren't fairy tales. They happen. Ordinary people, regular coin collectors, men and women who simply take the time to look. Some of the greatest coin discoveries in history were found by people at home. Not dealers, not museums, not experts. Just curious, patient people like you. And that's the magic of this hobby. Anyone can try. Anyone can win. Anyone can be the one who finds the next priceless rarity. Because every single day, someone somewhere checks their pocket change for the first time, and their life changes forever. So go get your coins. Your jars. Your drawers. Your old piggy banks. Go get that box of rolled pennies from the bank you never finished searching. Look through your collection again. Don't rush it. Take your time. Look closely. Just a simple Lincoln cent from 1985. Copper-plated zinc. Little over 3 grams. The kind of coin you toss in a jar, dump in a cup holder, or leave sitting on your dresser after work. But now imagine that one of those pennies, one that looks just like that, could be worth over $1 million. Not because it's made of gold, not because it was owned by someone famous, but because of one detail that most people overlook completely. In fact, it's so small that millions of people have stared at it and never once realized what they were holding. These coins weren't announced. They weren't documented. They slipped quietly into circulation, unnoticed, uncelebrated, and untouched. Which means right now, somewhere, someone might have already spent one without ever knowing the truth. Gas station cashier. Fast food worker. A kid counting change. Nobody stopped. Nobody looked. Nobody knew. Let's go back for a second. The year is 1985. Ronald Reagan is president. The economy is shifting. Pennies are no longer made of mostly copper. Just a copper coat over a zinc core. A decision that changed the entire minting process. It meant new dies, new handling, and much tighter tolerances. This was the era when Philadelphia was pushing unbelievable numbers of coins into circulation. Billions. When you make that many coins, mistakes happen. Surprising mistakes. Rare mistakes. Mistakes so small, even experienced collectors can miss them at first glance. But every once in a while, something else happens. Not just an error. Not just a slight variation. Something unique. A coin struck so sharply, so cleanly, with such flawless surfaces that it defies the normal boundaries of what everyday circulation coins look like. Numismatists refer to these as condition rarities. Not rare because few were made. Rare because almost none survived in perfect condition. Every 1985 penny without a mint mark was made at the Philadelphia Mint. They didn't stamp AP on pennies that year. Over 5 billion were produced. So on the surface, this coin seems common. Too common. But that's exactly what makes this story so unbelievable. Because buried among those billions, there were a few coins struck with such exceptional precision that even seasoned collectors gasped the first time they saw them under magnification. Hold that thought. Let's reset for a moment. Picture a collector at a small-town coin show. Someone older. Someone patient. The kind who doesn't rush. They sift through a dealer's junk bin. A bin labeled 10 cents each. Old coins, worn coins, coins nobody believed were special. And then this collector stops. Something catches their eye. The color. The surfaces. The shine. Not bright like it was polished, but original. Untouched. Mint state. They look closer. The coin has no mint mark. Just the familiar 1985 date. But the fields are like glass. The strike is razor sharp. Lincoln's hair is fully defined, every strand crisp. The steps of the memorial on the reverse are complete. No blurring, no mushiness. This was not an ordinary strike. This was something else. Now imagine sending that coin to a grading service. PCGS. NGC. One of the big ones. Days pass. You wait. You check your mailbox like a kid waiting on summer vacation. And then the results come back. Not MS 63. Not MS 65. Not even MS 67. But MS 68. Red. Flawless surfaces. I appeal beyond anything produced in mass circulation. That's when everything changes. Because coins like that don't just get attention. They set records that we've seen it happen before. Common coins that become legendary simply because the right coin survived in the right condition. A 1969 double die cent selling for over $500,000. A 1999 wide AM cent worth tens of thousands. A regular 1982 D small date copper cent changing everything we thought we knew about pocket change. Flip it under good lighting. Not fluorescent. Use natural light if possible. Tilt the coin slowly. You're looking for surfaces that look untouched. No scratches. No dulling. No fingerprints. A true mint state coin will reflect light in smooth, even waves. If it has lost its original luster, it's not the one we're after. Look at Lincoln's hair. On most circulated examples, it looks soft, worn. But on a high-grade strike, you'll see individual strands. Sharp separation. No mushy blending. Then look at the reverse. Focus on the Lincoln Memorial steps. Most 1985 pennies will show uneven, blurry steps. But the rare ones have full step separation. Crisp lines. Perfect clarity. Next, check the color. Collectors use 3 classifications: brown, red-brown, and red. The most valuable examples are red. That means a bright, fiery copper tone with no darkening or fading. And finally, you look for something else. Not something you can always describe. Something you feel. A sense that this coin simply looks different. Cleaner. Crisper. More alive. Think about how many people have handled change today. 100 million transactions. Maybe more. Most of those coins fell into pockets, jars, store drawers, vending machines. Forgotten. Ignored. But a collector? A real collector knows that any one of those coins could be the moment that changes everything. The moment you go from someone who searches coins to someone who discovers history. And here's where this gets emotional. Most people searching for rare coins aren't wealthy collectors. They're everyday people. Veterans. Retirees. Fathers. Grandfathers. Folks who remember checking coins as kids. People who just want that spark of excitement again. That feeling of finding treasure. That hope that maybe, just maybe, life has one more surprise waiting. $1 million is life-changing. It's home saving. It's medical bill erasing. It's retirement securing. It's a second chance. And all of that could be sitting in a coffee can of change on your dresser. Now think about the story behind the most recent record sale. A 1985 no-mint mark penny, graded at the absolute highest known level, sold in private sale for a price that stunned collectors. Word spread quietly at first. Whispered. The kind of thing only insiders knew. But the number leaked. Nearly $1 million. Enough to make even veteran collectors stop mid-sentence. And the dealer who sold it said something that still gives people chills. That he said, "There are more out there. They just haven't been found yet." Pause on that. Right now, in circulation, or tucked in a desk drawer, or sealed in a jar that someone hasn't touched in 20 years, there could be another one. Maybe 2. Maybe 10. Nobody knows, but someone will be the one who finds them. And when they do, their life will never be the same. The kind of jar that collects dust, spare thoughts, and forgotten pocket change. And hidden in there is something that could change your entire life. Not a rare gold coin. Not a treasure chest. Just a simple Lincoln penny. A 1998 D-Mint mark penny. But this one isn't ordinary. This one has sold in private collector circles for over $1.1 million. A single penny. The kind most people would drop on the ground and not even bother to pick up. And that's where this story begins. See, back in 1998, the Denver Mint struck millions of pennies, just like any other year. Most of them were plain, uniform, mass-produced coins that would cycle through wallets, pockets, counters, coin jars, and gas stations for decades. Nobody thought twice about them. Nobody looked at them closely. Nobody believed something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight. Before we talk about how to find this $1 million penny, I want you to picture something. Imagine the first person who found one. Not a professional dealer. Not a billionaire collector. Just a regular guy, the kind who checks his pockets before throwing jeans in the wash. He's flipping through some change, maybe while watching TV, when something catches his attention. A tiny difference. A subtle detail. And he realizes he's holding something that shouldn't exist. Now, let's reset the attention for a moment. If you're listening to this right now, I want you to actually think about the pennies around you. The bowl in your kitchen. The glove compartment in your truck. Maybe the coffee can in the garage where you dump everything at the end of the day. Because if one of these coins surfaced once, it can surface again. And history has shown that the most valuable coins in America are rarely found in fancy dealer cases. They show up in pocket change. The 1998 D-penny worth over $1 million isn't valuable because of the year alone. It's valuable because of a striking error, a flaw, a tiny moment where the minting process went wrong in the most perfect way possible. In coin collecting, mistakes are everything. Mistakes are where the money lives. Here's what you're looking for. In 1998, the Mint was experimenting with updated hub designs for the Lincoln penny. The reverse side, the part with the Lincoln Memorial, had a new design that matched later years. But a few 1998 pennies accidentally received the wrong die. These rare coins have what collectors call a wide AM reverse design. That means the letters A and M in the word America are spaced farther apart than normal. Normally, on a 1998 penny, the A and the M should nearly touch. But on the rare and valuable 1998 D penny, those letters have a noticeable gap, a tiny space. That's all it takes to go from 1 cent to $1,000,000. Let's reset attention again, because this is crucial. Pick up any penny from 1998 with a D Mint mark under the date. Turn it over. Look at the word America. Look specifically at the A and the M. Are they touching? Or is there space? If there's space, take a breath. Don't scratch it. Don't wipe it. Don't clean it. Coins lose value when cleaned. Handle it carefully by the edges. This is the mysterious part. The Mint doesn't release everything. Mistakes get covered up. Records get vague. Some say a leftover proof die accidentally got used on the production line. Others say it was a test run that shouldn't have left the facility. Some say a Mint worker knew something and let it happen. Nobody truly knows. And that's what makes it powerful. The unknown is part of the treasure. Now imagine the emotional moment of finding one of these. The disbelief. The heartbeat quickening. The moment where you go from just another day to could this actually be real? Thousands of collectors have experienced life-changing moments like this. People who were behind on bills. People who were retired and stretched thin. People who had given up on the idea of luck. And suddenly, there it is. A miracle in copper-plated zinc. And here's something to remember. People always assume $1,000,000 coins show up once and never again. But new ones are discovered all the time. Every year. From change machines. From parking meters. From the bottoms of old drawers. Coins don't disappear. They circulate. They travel. They wait. Let's reset again. Breathe. Think about the pennies in your possession. Think about how many times you've walked past coins on the ground. Think about how many times you've said, "It's just a penny." That thought right there is why most people never find treasure. They don't look. Now let's go deeper. The condition of the coin matters. The one that sold for over $1,000,000 was nearly flawless. Smooth. Clear. Crisp. It looked almost untouched by human hands. If you find one that's scratched and dented, it might not bring $1,000,000, but it could still bring thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Maybe enough to pay a mortgage. Maybe enough to change the direction of your life, even in a small way. And there's something powerful about that. A penny that was once spent on gum or dropped in a grocery store cashier's tray might now pay for a home, might pay for surgery, might pay off debt, might bring hope. Let's reset. You might be feeling something right now. A curiosity, a spark. That feeling is important. That is the feeling that every treasure hunter, every collector, every dreamer relies on. Because finding something valuable starts with believing that something valuable exists. So here's what you do. After this video, go to your coin jar. Take your time. Spread the pennies out on a clean table. Get good lighting. You want to examine the back of each one. Look for 1998. Look for the D. Then flip it. Find America. Look for the wide AM. And if you see that gap, don't react too quickly. Don't shout. Just breathe. Because in that moment, your life could be changing. What we're talking about today is the mysterious 1973 no mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin that has slipped through fingers across America for over 50 years. Passed in change. Tossed in jars. Dropped in parking lots. A ghost hiding in plain sight. And yet, a single one of these pennies has been verified worth over $1,000,000. And more could still be out there. So take a breath. Slow down. And pay attention. Because by the time you finish listening, you'll know exactly what to look for. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next person to uncover this life-changing treasure. Now, let's begin with something most people never think about. Mint marks. You know that tiny letter under the date on your penny? Sometimes it's A, P, D, or S. And sometimes nothing at all. Most people just assume that means it was made somewhere, anywhere, and it isn't special. But that's where the story gets interesting. See, 1973 was a strange year in American coin production. The U.S. Mint was experimenting, debating metal compositions, shifting production numbers, and adjusting minting machinery. There were shortages, errors, test runs, rejected dies, replacement dies. Most of the pennies from 1973 were made in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia coins typically had no mint mark. But this is not just any Philadelphia penny. This one is different. The rare 1973 no mint mark penny that collectors are hunting for wasn't just missing its mint mark. It has very specific traits that separate it from every normal penny from that year. And that's where the treasure hunt begins. But before I tell you how to identify it, I want to share something personal. Years ago, I knew a man who collected coins his entire life. A quiet guy, worked a factory job, never had a lot of money. Every night, he'd empty his pockets into a small wooden bowl. Quarters, nickels, pennies. Nothing that seemed special. But he'd pick up each coin and look at it, just for a second. He told me, what most people throw away could be worth everything if you just know what you're looking for. I never forgot that. Now, most people don't realize just how close they are to something valuable. They rush past things. They overlook them. They assume treasures look flashy or obvious. But the truth is, the greatest treasure hides where nobody expects. And that's exactly what happened with the 1973 no mint mark penny. One of these coins surfaced in pristine condition, almost untouched. And when it was evaluated by experts, they realized it had a very specific die strike that wasn't used in general circulation. A different metal composition ratio, a sharper relief on Lincoln's hair and the lettering, and no mint mark at all. And when that penny sold, it didn't just sell, it shocked collectors everywhere. The price? Over $1 million. A single penny. A coin people step on. A coin kids throw in fountains. A coin most of us ignore without a second thought. Now let's reset your attention here, because what I'm about to explain is the part that matters most. First, look at the date. It must be 1973. No exceptions. Next, look under the date. There should be no mint mark at all. No D. No S. Nothing. Now here's where we get detailed. The rare version has extremely sharp and well-defined lettering on the words, "I in God we trust," and "Liberty." On normal pennies, those letters appear slightly softer or less raised. The rare one looks crisp, deep, and clean, almost like the letters pop upward from the surface. Next, look at Lincoln's hair. On the rare one, the hair has visible texture, individual strands, sharper ridges, more detail around the forehead. Then flip the coin over. Look at the Lincoln Memorial. The fine lines on the columns should be razor sharp and evenly struck. If the back looks blurry or worn, it's probably not the one. Finally, condition matters. The $1 million example was nearly flawless. But even worn examples could still carry significant value. Tens of thousands. Maybe hundreds of thousands. It depends on how many of these are still out there. And nobody knows. Nobody. Here's where the mystery deepens. The mint records from 1973 are incomplete. Production logs were destroyed, lost, or recorded incorrectly. Some test strikes may have been released accidentally. Some may have been pocketed by mint workers. Some might still be sitting in someone's childhood coin jar right now, which means this hunt is very real. Let's reset for a moment. Imagine you're sitting at your table, maybe with a cup of coffee, maybe sorting through change from a drawer you haven't opened in years. You pick up a penny, one penny, and your heart skips because the date is 1973. You tilt it in the light. No mint mark. The details look sharp, clean, almost perfect. Your hands start to shake. You open your laptop. You look up reference images. And suddenly, it hits you. This could be the one. This could be the $1 million penny. A penny that changes everything. A penny that makes your family's future different. A penny that turns a moment of curiosity into something unbelievable. People say treasure hunting is a fantasy. But tell that to the person who found the 1943 copper Lincoln penny worth over $1 million. Or the 1955 double-die penny that still sells for tens of thousands. Or the person who found a 1973 no mint mark penny and walked away with life-changing money. Collectors know this truth. History hides in everyday things. Let's reset again to keep your attention sharp. If you want the best chance of finding one, here's what to do. Go to your coin jar, your old dresser, your toolbox, your glove compartment, anywhere coins tend to pile up. Look through them slowly. Don't rush. The miracle is in the patience. Visit antique shops, estate sales, flea markets. Ask for old jars of coins. Most sellers have no idea what they're holding. And when you search, use a small light or just tilt the coin into a window's daylight. You'd be amazed how different a coin looks when you study it instead of glance at it. If you find a 1973 penny that looks promising, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Leave it exactly as it is and take clear photos. Then contact a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC, because if you're right, you might be holding something worth more than $1 million. Let's take a final mental reset here. Coins are stories. They are time machines. They move from hand to hand, generation to generation, quietly carrying history. And once in a while, one of those coins holds a secret. But what if I told you that one of those ordinary pennies from 1990, the one with the little D mint mark, could be worth more than a brand new house? More than a luxury car? More than most people make in 20 years? Because somewhere out there, a single 1990 D Lincoln penny has sold for up to $1.3 million. Yes, a penny worth over $1 million. And it looks just like the one sitting in your pocket change right now. This is not a rumor. This is not wishful thinking. This is very real, but the truth behind it is deeper, stranger, and more dramatic than most collectors realize. Picture the year 1990. The Denver Mint was running at full speed. Billions of pennies were being struck. Routine, mechanical, predictable. And yet, in the middle of all that repetition, something happened. Something nobody caught. Something that slipped past the eyes of inspectors, supervisors, coin handlers, circulation checks. Everyone got a tiny detail. A microscopic change. A subtle difference that most people will never notice, even if they stare directly at it. That difference has created one of the most sought-after, talked about, and mysterious pennies of the modern collecting world. Now take a breath. Because before we reveal what that difference is, we need to reset for a moment. Think about how many pennies you've handled in your life. Thousands. Tens of thousands. Maybe more. Not once did you consider that one of them, one single one, could change everything. And yet here we are. The story of the 1990 D million-dollar penny begins with the design of the Lincoln cent. On every Lincoln penny, the word Liberty appears to the left of Lincoln's portrait. Now normally, in 1990, that word has sharp, clean, squared edges when the die is fresh. But when the die begins to wear out, the letters begin to soften. They lose crispness. The surfaces smooth out, but the penny we're hunting for isn't about wear. It's about something much more shocking. The 1990 D penny that became a $1 million prize wasn't supposed to exist at all. It was struck using a proof die intended only for collector sets. Proof dies create incredibly sharp, mirror-like surfaces and razor-crisp lettering. They're never meant to be used for mass circulation coins. But somehow, somewhere in that massive minting operation, a proof die was accidentally mixed with standard production equipment. And it struck regular circulation pennies. Pennies that were released into the world unnoticed. Imagine the moment. Somewhere along the production line, there was likely a brief confusion, a missing inventory sheet, a rushed operator, a moment where one piece of metal was assumed to be just like the rest. That single mix-up created one of the rarest modern pennies ever seen. The secret lies in the lettering. You must look closely at Liberty. On the normal 1990 D penny, the letters are slightly rounded and not sharply carved. But on the proof-struck error coin, Liberty appears extremely crisp, sharp, and deeply defined. The edges of the letters almost look like they were sliced, not stamped. Next, look at the date. The numbers on the rare one are sharper than usual. The bottoms of the 9s and 0s are cleaner and more pronounced. If the date looks extremely sharp, like precision engraving rather than mass stamping, your pulse should already be rising. And the surface of the rare penny has an unusual light reflection. It's not a full mirror, but it has a smooth, almost glass-like feel compared to the grainy look of normal pennies. But there's one more key detail. The mint mark. The D on the rare penny looks slightly bolder and more defined than normal. It isn't doubled, it isn't crooked, it isn't faint. It's confident, stamped with precision. If you see sharpness, precision, and clarity beyond anything you're used to seeing, stop everything. Protect that penny. Handle it carefully. And get it inspected. Now let's reset again. Imagine a man clearing out his father's garage. Ordinary boxes, old receipts, tools, and a jar of pennies that looked completely normal. Nothing special. But one coin, one single penny, was different. He didn't even realize it at first. He nearly spent it at a convenience store. But something about it caught his eye. The clarity, the sharpness. He looked at it, Googled it, and his life changed. And that moment is something every coin collector lives for. That feeling of discovery. That electric pulse in your chest when you realize you found something no one else saw. That realization that treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it's brown, small, ordinary, overlooked, yet worth over $1 million. $1 million finds are not just luck. They are awareness. They are attention. They are patience. They are the reward for people who don't just look, but who see. Now let's reset one last time. You want to check your 1990 pennies. Here's exactly how to do it. Grab a magnifying glass. A cheap one works fine. Find a strong light source. Hold the penny so light reflects across the letters. Study Liberty first. If the edges look sharp like knife cuts rather than soft bumps, you might be holding something special. Then check the date. If the numbers look extra sharp and clean, your heart should be picking up pace. Then look at the overall surface. If it reflects light smoothly, almost like a proof, but not quite mirror-like, stop. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not rub it. That if you think you found one, contact a reputable grading service, not just any dealer. And never let anyone rush you into selling. Coins like this are life-changing. They are still out there. Not in museums. Not locked away. Not all discovered. Some are in junk drawers. Coffee cans. Old jars. Toolboxes. Mason jars and basements. Forgotten change dishes. But what if I told you that one specific version of this penny, struck in 1999, without a mint mark, has been sold for over $1.4 million? Yes, one penny. Worth more than houses, cars, and retirement plans combined. And here's where it gets unbelievable. This penny is hiding in plain sight. It does not look rare. It does not look fancy. It looks like an ordinary penny you've seen 1,000 times. And most people have no idea. Let's start with the story, because it doesn't just come down to the year 1999. It goes back to something strange that happened inside the U.S. Mint. A rumor started among coin graders and longtime collectors about a small batch of pennies made during that year that shouldn't exist. These coins were struck with a special kind of die normally used to test new plating and metal quality for the next year's production. Experimental planchets, they call them. But these weren't supposed to leave the facility. They weren't supposed to be released into circulation. And yet, somehow, a handful slipped out. No paperwork, no explanation, just whispers between coin dealers saying, if you ever find a 1999 penny that looks a little too perfect, do not spend it. And here's where the mystery gets deeper. These rare 1999 pennies have no mint mark. Most pennies you find from Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, so that part doesn't seem strange. But what does stand out is the sharpness of Lincoln's jawline, the mirror-like surface of the fields, and the thickness of the letters. These features are so crisp, so well-defined, that you can see details even brand new pennies today don't have. It's like looking at the coin through a magnifying glass, without the magnifying glass. Now imagine the story of the first person who found one. A regular coin collector. Normal guy, been going to flea markets his whole life. One day, he's sorting pennies from a bag he picked up at a yard sale. He sees one penny that just looks too clean, too shiny. It doesn't look newly minted. It looks different in a way he couldn't explain. He takes it to a grader. The grader looks at it. And suddenly, the room gets very quiet. The grader doesn't speak. He doesn't move. Then he slowly puts the penny into a protective case and says, do not touch this coin. Don't take it anywhere. Don't let it out of your sight. And when it finally went to auction, the bids came in fast. Millionaires, investors, museums. The price climbed to $1.4 million. For a penny. Now here's where we reset our focus. Because what you're probably thinking is, okay, but what does this coin look like? How would I even know if I had one? And this is where things get exciting. Because thousands of people walk right past this coin every single day. They spend it without thinking. They drop it in jars. They leave it on countertops at gas stations. It's hiding right where you'd least expect it. 1999. On the front, under the date, there should be no mint mark. That makes it a Philadelphia penny. Completely normal so far. But now look closely, really closely, at Lincoln's profile. Look at his hair, the lines in his beard, the shape of his coat. On this rare version, the details appear razor sharp, like someone carved them with a needle. On most pennies, the details look soft and rounded. On this one, they look alive. Next, the surface. The rare, 1999 penny has an unusually reflective surface. Not shiny like chrome, but almost glassy. Light slides across it. If you tilt it under a lamp, you'll see the fields reflect light differently than a regular penny. Some collectors describe it like the coin looks freshly polished, even after years in circulation. Then the weight. If you have a scale that measures to the hundredth of a gram, this penny usually weighs just slightly different than the standard 2.50 grams. Not much, but just enough to suggest something different about the metal composition. You don't need expensive tools. You just need your eyes, a good lamp, and patience. The same patience miners used when searching for gold. Now let's reset again. Because the emotional side of this is important. Imagine being the person who finds one. Imagine paying for groceries with change, then noticing something unusual as you dump your coins into a jar at home. Imagine grabbing that jar one day when you're bored, sorting through it, and then stopping. Your heart starts pounding. Your hands start shaking. The more you look at the coin, the more you realize this could be it. The penny everyone's talking about. The one nobody believes they'll ever find. The one worth more than $1 million. People dream about discovering treasure buried in the ground. Sunken ships. Forgotten vaults. But the real treasure, the one most people overlook, is sitting right where your hands go every single day. Your pocket. Your glove compartment. A dresser drawer full of coins you haven't touched in years. The world you live in is full of hidden value. Most people walk past it because they never learned how to see. Coin collecting is not just collecting metal. It's collecting stories, history, mistakes, miracles. It's knowing that the smallest things can hold the biggest secrets. The 1999 no mint Mark Lincoln penny that's worth over $1 million teaches us something powerful. It teaches us that value isn't always loud. It doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it looks ordinary, plain, familiar, and that's what makes it so easy to miss. But you know better now. So here's what you do tonight. Get your jar of coins. Get your old change bucket. Get that drawer full of loose pennies. Sit down at your table, turn on a lamp, and start looking. Slowly, carefully, not rushing. Let each coin pass through your fingers like you're panning for gold. Someone out there who found one did not expect it. They weren't a professional. They weren't an expert. They were just like you. They just took the time to look.